There's a saying that I heard often in my youth, repeated by my dad to me or my brother whenever we told him something that we'd heard. He'd say, "Believe none of what you hear and only half of what you see." I most often received this adage with frustration, since I was hoping that my dad would respond the same way I had to whatever it was that I was relaying to him. Whatever it was I'd heard had made an impression. It had surprised me or shocked me or delighted me, and I wanted to duplicate that reaction by sharing it. No. Believe none of what you hear and only half of what you see. It was a letdown. It gave me the impression that my dad couldn't be impressed. I came to understand, though, what this 13-word philosophy was really about, and that was trust. By throwing cold water on whatever gossip or tall tale I was breathlessly relating to him, my dad was trying to teach me about who and what I should trust. Believe none of what you hear and only half of what you see. Welcome once again to Rhythm and Word, Fourth Presbyterian Church's weekly video devotion. I'm Rocky Suppinger, one of the pastors here, and I hope that you'll believe me when I say that I'm very glad you've chosen to make this reflection and the music that accompanies it part of your spiritual journey for today. The wisdom of the biblical Proverbs is our subject during this series. This ancient collection of around 800 wisdom sayings spread over 915 verses concerns a broad array of subjects. Already in this series, we've talked about the fear of the Lord and generosity, and of course, wisdom itself, along with its counterpart, foolishness. Another prominent topic in Proverbs is trust. This wisdom wants to guide us and our faith to place our trust in people who are worthy of it. And trust is no incidental concern. Trust is intimately bound up with belief, and so with faith, which is why I came to understand what my dad was telling me about who or what I should believe to actually be about where I should place my trust. There are proverbs about where our trust does not belong. Proverbs 25:19 says, "Like a bad tooth or a lame foot is trust in a faithless person in time of trouble." Other English translations of this proverb are more specific. Instead of faithless, they say treacherous or even double-crosser. So, don't put your trust in people who you know to be disloyal and deceptive, dishonest. Proverbs 11:28 says, "Those who trust in their riches will wither, but the righteous will flourish like green leaves." For those acquainted with Jesus' teaching, this rings familiar, for in the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus advises against storing up for ourselves treasures on earth, where moth and rust consume, and where thieves break in and steal. And elsewhere, Jesus says that it will be easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than for someone with wealth and riches to enter the kingdom of heaven. The wisdom of withholding trust from material wealth is not self-evident, is it? Not if we're raised amidst prosperity, taught from a young age that savings and a wise investment strategy can ensure our security well into retirement. It feels to me like we are explicitly taught to trust riches in our society, though experience has shown us repeatedly, whether through the unexpected loss of our own income, a crisis in the global finance sector, or a pandemic, the foolishness of entrusting our lives to wealth. One more thing from which Solomon's wisdom would have us withhold our trust: ourselves. Proverbs 28:26 says, "Those who trust in their own wits are fools, but those who walk in wisdom come through safely." Another translation is "those who trust in themselves." And the biblical scholar Robert Alter renders this, "Those who trust in their own heart are fools." Wisdom like this will make us suspect, I suppose, the popular wisdom of our day about trusting ourselves. The Bible is pretty suspect about people's minds and especially their hearts. Jesus told people that it is from within, from the human heart, that evil intentions of theft and murder and folly all come into the world. Nowhere does the Bible guide us to place our trust in our own hearts and minds, that is, in our desires or our understanding. Rather, we are guided to place our trust in God. This is perhaps my favorite proverb, chapter 3, verses 5 through 7. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not rely on your own insight. In all your ways acknowledge God, and God will make straight your paths. Do not be wise in your own eyes. Fear the Lord and turn away from evil. The wisdom of the Scriptures, put plainly here in Proverbs, is that God is the most worthy object of our ultimate trust and faith. God, as revealed in the great acts of redemption and deliverance in the biblical story, Jesus healing the sick and eating with sinners and giving himself completely over to love for our sake. God, as received in the cleansing waters of baptism and the nourishing bread and cup of the communion table. God, as encountered in that still small voice in the hour of our prayers. That is the God in whom we place our trust. That saying that I was raised on then about believing none of what I hear and only half of what I see, I don't believe in it anymore. Because I've heard good news about God's love for the world from faithful people, people I trust, and I've seen the goodness of God's abundant mercy in my own life. I believe in that. I trust in that. I pray you do too. Go in peace.
Many nights we've prayed with no proof anyone could hear. In our hearts a hopeful song we barely understood. Now we are not afraid, although we know there's much to fear. We were moving mountains long before we knew we could. There can be miracles when you believe. Though hope is frail, it's hard to kill. Who knows what miracles you can achieve when you believe? Somehow you will. You will when you believe. In this time of fear, when prayer so often proved in vain, hope seemed like a summer bird too swiftly flown away. Yet now I'm standing here with heart so full I can't explain, seeking faith and speaking words I never thought I'd say. There can be miracles when you believe. Though hope is frail, it's hard to kill. Who knows what miracles you can achieve when you believe? Somehow you will.